The supply chain breakdown is now adversely affecting economic growth. With more on this, here's OAN's investigative reporter, Scott Wheeler.
This week, the Commerce Department released its report showing that the U.S. economy showed an anemic 2% growth in the third quarter. Among the main drivers of the slump is the ongoing supply chain bottlenecks that have created shortages of consumer goods and left store shelves empty. OAN has been reporting on some of the causes of those bottlenecks. Among them, labor shortages at the ports of entry where goods and supplies enter the country. In addition, OAN has uncovered recent laws that crippled the ability of trucking companies to service California ports, particularly at Long Beach and Los Angeles, the two busiest ports in the United States. One estimate said that the actually Los Angeles port is doing less business than this year over last year.
Yeah, and you know, those numbers, they want to try to hide that from you because they want a government solution.
Mark Mix is president of the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. Mix says that the California state government and the Biden administration are primarily responsible for choking off supply lines.
You know, one of the examples of that is the so-called Build Back Better bill that Joe Biden's pushing right now, the infrastructure bill that has really nothing to do with infrastructure. There is a piece in it, though, for port support and improving infrastructure at the ports around the country. And they have $17 billion set aside for port infrastructure, but they say, amazingly enough, I think it's section 30102 of the bill says that none of the money can be used for automation or increasing automative efficiencies at the port. That's not a real reform at all.
So automation would actually alleviate a big part of the problem if there's a manpower shortage, which is part of the problem in this case?
Yeah, that's right. Not only on the docks and unloading and loading ships, but also once the containers get out to the intermodal part of it, the drayage part of it, where they have to put it on a chassis and then send it to a warehouse or to a railhead. That's where the other problem is, and that's a California regulatory problem that manifests itself, interestingly enough, in a real significant union power grab. And that union power grab was a bill called AB 5 that passed in the California legislature.
As OAN has previously reported, the AB 5 law drove independent truck drivers away from California, leaving a massive backup of ships carrying containers that need to be carried by truck from the port to the rest of the country. Who benefits from that legislation, AB 5?
Organized labor, no question about it.
About mid-October, Biden announced his proposed solutions to the supply chain disruptions. He negotiated a deal with the unions that managed to almost entirely miss the real challenges at the ports.
After weeks of negotiation and working with my team and with the major union retailers and freight movers, the Port of Los Angeles announced today that it's going to begin operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This follows the Port of Long Beach's commitment to 24/7 that it announced just weeks ago.
Earlier this month, Biden said that they're taking corrective action, and part of that is allowing the ports to stay open later, have workers there longer. Is that going to solve the problem?
Well, look, I mean, that's the unions say that they want to help the president keep these ports open 24/7, but they say you got to negotiate about it first. You know, the American port system, most ports around the world are open 24/7. They truly are open 24/7, so commerce is taking place all the time. In America, the ports were basically open somewhere between 16 hours a day, and then certain gates were only open 8 hours a day, and the number of hours that you reduce on when tractor trailers can come pick up containers and move them out, when you can deliver, when they will unload container ships. I mean, they're going to say that, but right now, even though Biden has made this pronouncement, it's not happening at the ports as we speak.
With an estimated 80,000 truck shortage to haul the freight from the ports to distribution points around the nation, it is unclear how asking dock employees to work longer hours is going to solve the problem. For One America News in Washington, I'm Scott Wheeler.
Air Force officials are debating how to deal with opposition to the Pentagon's vaccine orders without causing significant